Welcome to Porky Kiev for the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship quarter-final. It's a big weekend for hurling in Cork and all that jazz. It's going to be an epic tonight, I think, between Erins and Midleton. We'll get the thoughts of Mark Landers in a wee while, but before we hear from Mark on this crisp but relatively mild night on Leeside, let's hear from both camps, Erins and Midleton. We'll hear shortly from Midleton manager Ger Fitzgerald, but first Erins a selector, Tony O'Connor, who I spoke to just a few minutes ago. Tony O'Connor, Erins selector. We're literally in the changing room ahead of this Co-op Superstores Cork Senior Hurling Championship quarter-final. What was the atmosphere like among the lads just before they went out for the warm-up?
The atmosphere is very good. Like, we've prepared well, and we feel we're ready for this match. So things went very well in training, and we just brought into the dressing room here. So we're ready to go.
What do you need to improve on from the group stages? You opened up with a good win against Blackrock, then had 2 draws.
Yeah, I think the start for us is big, and we've a tendency not to start well, and obviously coming from behind. So we obviously need to try and that's fine, but you won't get away with that. So we know that, so we know we need to be at the start. You've got good experience in that team. That counts for a lot, especially in knockout hurling. Yeah, it does. Yeah, and we know we have experience, but we've a number of new young guys as well now coming to the team, and they perform well. So it's a kind of a mixture of youth and a bit of experience, So we think it's a nice blend we have now, Once again, you're the underdogs, but that kind of suits this team, doesn't it? It does, yeah. And we seem to go into every match as underdogs, But at the end of the day, we know, there's 7 left in the championship, and we've every chance. So we've got to this stage where we want to take a step further, What kind of game do you think it'll be tonight? I think it'll be a tough game, I think, obviously Midleton will be up for it. They had a good run, with the exception of Stars in their build-up matches, and they know that they need to improve in that, and we know we need to improve in the Charlotte match as well. So we feel like that it's going to be a tough game with both teams, and I think we're ready for it, And it's a special occasion, isn't it? The Friday night of the bank holiday, the jazz weekend, bank holiday, normality coming back to Cork, crowds at the hurling and people at the jazz. Yeah, and Parky Kiev is a fine stadium as well, so it's a good location. It's good to have crowds back, and hopefully that'll add to the atmosphere as well, It'll be a good game. Ger, we found a quiet corner of Porky Kiev ahead of this Co-op Superstores quarter-final against Erins. How are you feeling? What's the atmosphere in the changing room? You're literally in the changing room tonight as well, which is good. For a change, Roisin, absolutely. We're delighted the restrictions have been changed and the lads are getting to use the facilities again, which adds to the atmosphere here. This is a fabulous environment, and we're delighted to be here and looking forward to the game. Was it an ideal situation to get beaten in the last game, if that makes sense? Because maybe it wakes guys up, maybe it stops any false sense of security that fellas have, and they're fully, on guard and ready for this game. Not ideal. We would have preferred to go through straight to the semi-final, and it was our intention. You just have to take the bounce of the ball. We are in the quarter-final, and that's where we set out to be. But no, we wouldn't have taken that defeat. That was disappointing. We were disappointed as a collective, really, that we didn't play to our potential, which was more the disappointment rather than the losing or the winning of that match. We didn't reach our potential, and that's what we were more disappointed about as a group. What are you expecting from tonight's game? We're expecting a tight, tough challenge from Erins. We've always been very close with one another. We played a practice match earlier in the year, and it was a good, intense affair. So I think it'll be something very similar tonight. We just hope that our boys can play to their potential, and if we play to our potential, we give ourselves a very good chance. And you do have a nice mix in your squad. There's a nice bit of youth, but there's also that kind of steel of experience between the likes of Luke and Connor and a few others. Yeah, certainly you need that, and we've young players coming through, and we have to give them a run and see how they are. And we've older players, and we're hoping that they'll lead from the front tonight and take the bull by the horns and drive the game on. And finally, you're under the lights in the park. There's a big crowd in. It's an occasion to relish, isn't it? That's brilliant, sir. This is where you want to be. Every club wants to be in this time of the year in the championship. When you're hurling around the October weekend and the Jazz Festival, you're in contention, and that's very important. It adds to the atmosphere, and we're looking forward to it.
Those are views of Ger Fitzgerald, the Midleton manager, and before that, Tony O'Connor, the Erins selector. The atmosphere is building in Porky Kiev. Remember, an unlimited capacity at club weekends from here on in, and let's hope it stays that way. Let's stay vigilant. Let's hope we keep it the way it is. Let's hope normal is normal once again, if that makes sense. Let's have a look at the teams. We'll start with Erins' own. No real surprise, Mark Landers, that they've made a change. Mark Collins doesn't start, Cian O'Callaghan does. He's been in goal-scoring form so far this season.
Yeah, but it's a very, I suppose, similar team to what has played all year. Oisin, I mean, backed by I suppose Shane Bowen in goals, James O'Flynn, Stephen Cronin, and James O'Callaghan the half backline, which is mainly their launching pad. And they have two great full backline players in Cian O'Connor and Cormac Dooley, and obviously up front they look to the likes of Owen Murphy and Robbie O'Flynn in particular to create the goal scoring and the point scoring chances to get a victory for Erins' own.
Let's take a look at the Midleton team. Some familiar names, some new guys in there. Ross O'Regan, if he hits his marks tonight, he could be very, very dangerous. Conor Lehan, obviously a man they'll always look to, the captain. He scored 23 points so far. Paul Hockney and Sam Quirk in midfield. They're industrious and there's a bit of skill there as well. Tommy O'Connell at number 6 behind them. There's a nice shape to that team.
Yeah, there is. There's a very, very nice shape to it. But I suppose one of the things that Midleton will be looking for tonight is they'll be looking for a better performance from their defence. They conceded 3-21 against ours, which was probably a big surprise to them. And I suppose, look, you have Tommy O'Connell who's playing centre back. He's probably better known as a midfielder or a forward, and then Cormac Walsh a wing forward, most of his life playing wing back. But saying all that, Sam Quirk was outstanding against Stars, but he played a centre forward and stroke wing forward against Stars. Obviously the likes of Conor Lehan, Luke O'Farrell will also be key players for them. But Alex Quirk, who came on the last day, played well when he came on. He gets a starting berth tonight. But I think from a Midleton perspective, down the centre will be critical for him. Luke Dineen, Tommy O'Connell, Paul Hockney, Ross O'Regan, which is a new position for him tonight, Oisin. And I suppose we'll have to wait and see whether that's actually the Midleton team that is going to line up from the start of the game. But that would seem like a strange decision for me.
Alex Quirk, only 18, the brother of Sam, scored a goal against Sarsfields. How much do things change once you get to knock out hurling? How different is this to playing a group game?
Well, I suppose Midleton, the last knew against Stars, they knew the result going in, that they were going to be in the quarter-final one way or the other. Erins' own, on the other hand, had to go into a dogfight with Charleville, and he only got a last-minute point to actually equalise and give them the point to qualify for the quarter-final. So I suppose that's that's the excitement that's going with the Cork Senior Hurling Championship at the moment. They had a team, and I think that was replicated across all the grades last weekend, or the last weekend of the championship, that there was teams in and out of the championship in the last 5 minutes of the game. We were calling it a suit of a Sunday on the day, but Erins' own, both teams are here on merit. That's the only thing I would say. And the other thing I would say also is that Erins' own are actually one of the 3 teams unbeaten in the championship this year. SARS, Douglas and Erins' own have been unbeaten, whereas Midleton obviously were beaten once.
And Erins' own unbeaten, but 2 of those games were draws. They've once again shown that stubborn streak, though, haven't they?
Absolutely. And I mean, we've I suppose when you've played against them down through the years and stuff like that, you have to admire Erins' own, their doggedness, the way they stay in games. And I think that was emphasised in both their games this year, both drawing games against the Bars. And I think the Bars will probably be kicking themselves they didn't get the result in the night that Erins' own found themselves 10 points down at half time. But they made a change at half-time in that game, which was to move Robbie O'Flynn from midfield, which we all found was a bit strange that he started there. He went into the full forward line, and within 10 minutes of the second half, he had scored 2 goals, and he turned that game on its head. And obviously, as the aforementioned, they hung in there against Charleville when, I suppose, a lot of Charleville find themselves in a relegation final right now because of the fact of a draw. So I suppose there's a lot to play for tonight, Oisin.
And we'll talk you through the game and talk about the game before it starts in a moment, but that's after Aaron Naveen. I'd have walked down among the fans before this game. There is a real buzz about the crowd. They're really up for this one.
There's a big anticipation because this is an East Cork derby. Both teams will think that they're going to have a chance of winning this evening. They would have played an awful lot of hurling against each other down through the years, and there's only about 5 miles between both clubs as well. So there's a huge history here as well. But you know, I suppose the intriguing thing tonight is that if Midleton win. And not alone are Midleton and Erins' own teams looking in tonight. There are other implications if Midleton win tonight because they're on the same side of the draw as SARS, who are in the semi-final. And if Midleton win, they can't be a repeat pairing. So I suppose there'll be a lot of other teams watching in on the result tonight to see what way the championship draw is going to go for the rest of the year.
Midleton have already won a league this year. They'd love to add a championship. Last year did not go to plan. Already it's been a better season, but they want to make it even better again. Erins' own, if they can repeat the feat of getting to the semi-finals like they did last year, then they will class that as a good season. And when you're in the last four, who knows what can happen. It's Midleton against Erins' own in the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Cork Hurling Championship quarter-final. We're delighted to have you with us on the Friday night of the bank holiday weekend. You can watch this game and then you can get to the nightclub afterwards. We're away. Nathan Wall, by the way, is our referee. Already kicking it forward is Conor Lehan, the captain. Ruck ball will be so important here this afternoon and this evening. Ross O'Regan dispossessed, hoovered up by Colm Coakley. They're so good at winning dirty ball. They're so strong. But just as I say that, Midleton get out in front to their fullback, Deneen. And he goes with that lovely one-handed pass to Lehan. Lehan, from a very tight angle, hits it wide.
Yeah, very good play there from Luke Deneen. Won a 50-50 ball, did the right thing, popped it out to Conor Lehan, but the ball drifted left and wide.
A first championship meeting between these two since 2017. Does that one have the legs? The answer is no.
Yeah, and good puck out by Shea Bowen to find Kieran Murphy between the two 65s, and again the ball drifted to the right and wide. Probably it was a 50-50 opportunity.
Chasing after that is Quirk. The youngster has a lot of promise. Alex Quirk will want to show it this evening.
I suppose one of the things there straight away is that Ross O'Regan, named as centre forward, is playing wing forward on Stephen Cronin, and Conor Lehan, who was named as wing forward, is selected at centre forward. He's taken up the position where James O'Flynn, one of the Erins' own better players and one of the driving forces for the Erins' own team, is centre back.
Patrick Mulcahy was doing the calculations on the last round of the football and hurling. There's still smoke coming out of his ears. He's on duty on Sunday, as is Colm O'Connor, one of 3 live games this weekend through the Irish Examiner. Here is Owen Murphy, who's on 123 for the championship so far. Doesn't add to it right now, but you better believe he will a little bit later on. Collected by Brian Saunderson. Tommy O'Connell, as you said before the game, Mark, more of a midfielder or a forward, but he's done well at centre back this season. Cormac Walsh has a little look up. Walsh goes for himself, and that's going to drop short. And Shea Bowen, who's been around a long time, who's a great servant, collects it without an issue. Who's going to win this battle? Erins' own love 50-50s. As you can see, throwing himself in there, Sam Guilfoyle got a goal against Blackrock on that opening night of the season. A big win for them. Followed it up with 2 draws, and now they've got the possession. Kieran Murphy. Almost deflecting into the path of Ross O'Regan. But that's very, very loose. Sean Kelly will collect it. It's a real battle in there, 2-on-2. Brilliantly taken by Kieran Murphy. Murphy gets his pass away. Sam Guilfoyle. This will surely be the first point. A nonchalant swing over from Owen Murphy. And like we said a couple of minutes ago, you knew he'd add to his tally so far this season.
Yes, and very
124 for the season now.
And very good play, a very good interplay. Kieran Murphy into Sam Guilfoyle, and he popped the ball to Owen Murphy, who substituted the last day, and knocked it over for the lead score.
Erins' own trying to create something again. Just wouldn't quite come to hand there. Trying to scoop it up on the run was Coakley. Wouldn't fall his way. Midleton battling for it. Now onto it is Cormac Walsh, one of the youngsters in this team. That's a very tight angle shot from Robbie O'Flynn, but it's an excellent score.
Yeah, fantastic. And Sam Guilfoyle has been very influential so far. He has contributed to that. He knocked the ball away from Tommy O'Connell, who laid it off to Robbie O'Flynn and knocked it off over his right. Great score from Robbie O'Flynn.
Line ball to Erins' own, as always, up for the fight.
That's a good opening, I suppose, Oisín, for Erins' own. 2 points in the play, and obviously 2 points from play, which is critical as well. No freeze, and early on, like, you know, the game is extremely sporting as well.
Tommy O'Connell miscued his jump there, but his teammate might be able to get it in hand. That's Luke Dineen. Midleton trying to work it out. O'Maloney receives it. Ger Fitzgerald the manager, but Ben O'Connor the coach, and he does like that kind of moving it through the line style. That's a really good take. Can he escape? Alex Quirk, I beg your pardon, it's Luke O'Farrell. O'Farrell turning and twisting, letting one go. Luke O'Farrell with a really good point.
Yeah, very good play by Nathan Wall as well, because on a number of occasions he was probably knocked over. Good challenging there by the cornerback from Erins' own, but Nathan Wall left the game develop, and Luke O'Farrell struck a great point off his left.
He scored 2-4 against Napiershig earlier in the championship. Luke O'Farrell, he's such a leader for Midleton. Sam Quirk. Where will it rebound to? A magpie hand. Ross O'Regan. Juggled by Buzang. Boozer as they call him, but nope, it's not Boozer as in drinker, it's Boozer, then that's just how his name sounds.
Not the nightclub Boozer, is
exactly,
it? No?
Yeah. Sean Kelly gets it clear. Cormac Walsh is trying to get under that. It breaks. 2 or 3 players queuing up for it. Cormac Walsh receives it. Walsh trying to escape. He wins the line ball. He did okay there, Cormac Walsh. Took it strongly, ran it out. Long-standing member of the team, Cormac Walsh. And he's picked up a knock for his trouble. Put his body on the line. Or is he just taking off the Under Armour top?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of controversy on the sideline because the linesman here felt it was an Erins' own ball, but Erins' own man was coming out. The middleman was coming out, and it looked like the Erins' own player knocked it out of play.
Sam Quirk, who's been
correct decision
part
by the
of
referee.
The Cork under-20 success. His dad won a county title 30 years ago. He came on as a sub in the final, scored a goal. Sam would love to get to a final. Cormac Dooley tidies it up. A solid fullback. There was no option on there, so he just went long. It was the right thing to do. That's a fantastic catch. Cormac Walsh, he's having a stormer so far.
He's turned it into the game straight from the get-go. He's been outstanding so far.
Cormac Buzang has runners, might go himself. Miscued his pass, but he was fouled on the way through. Advantage being played. They might need it. Ross O'Regan squeezes it over. Good score from him.
And good play again by Nathan Wall on the whistle there. Cormac Buzang gone down the centre. He was tackled by an open arm, brought him to the ground. The referee saw that there was nothing developed and awarded a free.
Cormac Buzang, he's a real live wire. He's very fast. He's a hard runner. That's a fantastic catch. Robbie O'Flynn. He got a point earlier on, which was great. This one, even better if it goes over, which it has.
Yeah, another fantastic score from Robbie O'Flynn. His marker Luke Dineen went to contest the ball in the air, missed it straight into Robbie's hand. No hesitation, one step, bang over the bar. Great start by Robbie O'Flynn.
Saunderson with an excellent puck out. Lahan takes it. Lahan bobbing this way and that. Now he's a rep on the road. I bumped into him in Dungarvan a couple of weeks ago. Midleton trying to level things up here if they can, and they have. That's a really good score.
Yeah, very good play by Connolly Han over on the south stand or the north stand side. Took on the man and laid it off to Cormac Buzang, who rattled off his left hand side. Level game.
You can expect this one to be neck and neck all the way. Broken down by Tommy O'Connell, trying to get over the ball, but he's stuck to there by Robbie O'Flynn. Going to ground, Cormac Walsh. As we said, the rucks will be so vital here. Sean Kelly. Kelly heard the shout from the far side. Going for it is Kieran Murphy. Getting it is Kieran Murphy. That's a great score.
He has it, and good communication. Sean Kelly, a long-serving servant for Erins' own. That had played minor under 21 back 15 years ago at least. Heard the call from the hero who knocked it over from 80 yards.
Luke Dineen touching it out, trying to get a bit of time and a bit of space to Sean O'Leary Hayes, the county man. That was a very good pass. Now it's into the hand of Paul Hockney. I'm not sure if he was going for it or just dropping it inside, but Bowen reads it well. He's pressurised by Luke O'Farrell, but Bowen, he looks like he's got all the time in the world. He's such a cool presence. Swept forward by Murphy. Intercepted brilliantly by Deneen. Away comes Hockney. Hockney dropping it inside. He was looking for Quirk. That's a fantastic catch from James O'Carroll. Leaves it off for Sean Kelly. Kelly went diagonal and long. Those forwards will battle all night. They'll win ball all night. Sam Guilfoyle. Good pass off the shoulder. O'Carroll. Morris this time. And he puts it over.
Yeah, very, very good play again from Erins' zone. Great communication between Cian O'Callaghan and Sam Guilfoyle. And then the finishing score from Massey O'Callaghan off his right hand side.
Saunderson. Really well taken. Conor Lehane came out to meet it. Skipping one in front and finding his man, turning as Luke O'Farrell. I think he'll just take the point. Wise decision from Luke O'Farrell, his second of the game.
Yeah, and again, a good quality ball in front of him, out in front of his man, one touch over the bar. Like, you know, it's 6 points to 3, I think, at this stage, and there's only 10 minutes gone. It's wide open, and the scores are coming plenty. I think it should be 5-4. It's probably
they gave the point there to
score,
Erins, and it should have gone to Midleton. Real scramble on that far side. Once again, it's Erins' own who come away with it, but not cleanly. Hockney put a tackle in there, but he couldn't get it. It squirted out to Sean Kelly, who lets fly and hits it wide.
And that's Erins' own second wide now to Midleton's one. But like again, there's a lot of movement all over the field, and there's a lot of tactics going on.
Cormac Walsh. Good ball into the corner, really well taken by full forward Cormac Buzang, and he squeezes that one over into the city end. That is amazing.
Yeah, great ball up along the line from Cormac Walsh, and good quality from Cormac Buzang out in his front of his man, and one touch again, and it's a feature of the game so far, is the great touch from both teams, and the quality of the strike is excellent.
Coakley. Well, we're at that stage of the championship. You're only here if you're good. James O'Flynn. Nice sidestep from O'Flynn. Does that have the legs? No, and it's wide anyway. Third wide for Erins' own.
But it was a very, very good hook from the middle. I think there's Alex Quirk that actually got a flick on James O'Hook, and a very important flick there. Just a slight touch, and he's knocked the ball out wide.
Don't forget 2 games on Sunday. Douglas against Blackrock. Colm O'Connor, Ger Cunningham and Shawnee McGrath talking you through that one. Glen Rovers taking on Imokilly with Patrick Mulcahy, Mark Landers and Shawnee McGrath. That's a little bit loose, and it will go out for a line ball to Erins' own.
Yeah, Owen Maloney will be disappointed with that. He saw the man in front of him. I think this Cormac Walsh would overstruck the ball just a fraction too high. It's gone out for a line ball to Erins' own.
Colm Coakley. That's a clever ball in behind. Well defended, doggedly defended. He can't keep it in. But it is a line ball. Owen Murphy, so hard to mark.
He is, yeah. He's a player with a huge amount of talent and a huge amount of experience as well. And if a goal opportunity will present him at any stage during this game, that man is capable of getting a goal in the first minute, or maybe in the 5th or 6th minute of injury time.
He seems to get better as he gets older. Trying to get away there is Quirk. It's intercepted. The shot comes from O'Flynn. Guilfoyle tries to make it his, but there was 2 players queuing up there. The Magpies very casual in defence. Sam Guilfoyle with a really good hook, sweeping it up. Robbie O'Flynn goes loose back to Guilfoyle. Guilfoyle trying to get away from cornerback O'Leary Hayes. Again it goes loose, and it's Cormac Walsh who collects it. Cormac Walsh has to be careful. Loses it in contact, but luckily for him, I think that's Smith who was helping him out. Pa White intercepted, trying to tidy it up with James O'Carroll. He's dispossessed, he's pickpocketed. It's really frantic. Lehane lets it back. Hockney into the corner, aiming at O'Farrell. O'Farrell, if he gets time and gets space, he'll get a shot away. The question is, will he get a point? The answer is yes.
Yes, and it's a fantastic start from Luke O'Farrell. He's got 3 points from play on the board. All pretty similar out in front of his man. Good first touch, even on got that one on the second touch. But a quality of striking again straight over the bar, and only 1 wide for Midleton, which was actually something dissimilar to the Stars game where they had 7 wides in the first quarter. They've only 1 tonight.
Bowen goes long, Bowen goes deep. Slips through the hands of O'Connell, trying to get there is Sam Guilfoyle. That's really good and strong. Oh, I've jinxed them because they've lost it on the way out. Outside from Coakley. That would be an exquisite point if it goes over, but it goes wide. He was unbalanced while striking it. He was unlucky. He had a bit more maybe time and space than he realised.
But he might have been better off to bring it on a couple of steps, Oisin, rather than throwing it over the shoulder and taking a risk.
Another great puck out. Is it going to be another great point from Conor Lehane? Yes.
And again, you see the difference there. Lehane saw he had a yard on James O'Flynn and elected to take the extra yard, steady himself, and knocked it over the bar. That's a great score from Conor Lehane.
That's a little bit risky. Lehane robs it back, just got away from him.
Yeah, got away, got a good break there now. Probably should have intercepted it and gone in for his own score.
It wasn't a bad line ball, but it's Tommy O'Connell who has it. Sometimes it's risky to play them across the face of goal like that. That was okay. O'Leary Hayes knocks it on to Sam Quirk. Two talented young Cork hurlers who play for Cork. Sam Quirk from a long way out. Excellent.
Well, that's the best score of the evening so far, Oisin. Great play by the middle of the defence into Sam Quirk's hand. Carried on 15 or 20 yards without breaking his stride. Over the bar off his left. Fantastic score from Sam Quirk.
Lehane got a touch on it, but knocked it out well. Initially, they were giving it the way of Midleton, but rightfully they're giving it the way of Erins' own now. Sean Kelly. When these two meet in the championship, it tends to be quite entertaining. This is their first meeting in the championship since 2017. Midleton winning after extra time that day. They were pretty much neck and neck in 2016 as well. Intercepted by Lehane. Trying to get it up as Robbie O'Flynn. Midleton pours some numbers in there. Breaks kindly for Pa White. He loses it, but doesn't give up on it. That's great play from Pa White. He's still going. Eventually, Erins' own get it back, and Steve Cronin motors on. Cronin's attempted hand pass was intercepted. Midleton can't make it theirs. Falls the way of Erins' own again. It's Stephen Cronin. There was a chop. You could actually hear it as well as seeing it. It's a free for Erins' own.
And this is actually the first scoreable free, Oisin, of the night. I think there's 8 points to 5 at the moment, 13 points from play in the first 15 minutes of the game, which is quite unusual, and it's a strange statistic that there has been so many plays. I've mentioned earlier on that it was quite open, and you know that probably epitomises the fact that the first 13 scores have come from play, and this is the first scoreable free now.
A yellow card for Luke Deneen. Never good to be in the full back line and on a yellow card so early. I imagine we'll go to the water break after this. A big weekend in hurling, a big weekend in football as well. Congress tomorrow. What a big vote that is. Owen Murphy, what a big man he is. Oh, he's unlucky. It comes off the woodwork. Desperately, desperately unlucky. They get it away to Cormac Walsh. Walsh into the corner. They love that ball down the alleyway, don't they? That's really well taken by Lehane. He has a man inside, but I think he'll go himself. And it was a bit too casual, or was it? Yes, it was.
Yeah, I'd be very disappointed with that now, Conor, because a player of his ability should be knocking those balls over. I mean, he won a great ball down the sideline and took on the man. We'll be disappointed with that. But equally, Owen Murphy will be disappointed with the miss free as well. So we're still back to the situation where we've 13 points in play, but with a very good opening 15 minutes. It's very open, very fair, well handled by Nathan Wall as well. He's letting the game develop and stuff like that. So I think overall, Oisin, both teams will be happy enough to be, you know, they'll all have been waiting around for a fortnight now at this stage, knowing that there's an all East Cork derby, and I think both teams will be happy that the game is on now and they're into their strides.
I was so eager for this game. I met Conor Lehane last week and said good luck on Friday when I should have said good luck on Friday week. What do you think will be said in both of the huddles? What do you think they might change or not change?
Yeah, well, I think from Midleton's point of view, they'll be quite happy. They're leading 8 points to 5, and they've hit just 2 wides, which is a fierce improvement from the SARS game, from their round 3 game where they had 7 wides. I think that the likes of Joe Fitzgerald and Ben O'Connor will be telling him it's more the same, lads. You know, you're a good team. You're well in control at the moment, which I think they are. I think from an Erins own point of view, they've been quite unlucky with a couple of options in terms of scoring and stuff like that. I wouldn't say they're getting the rub of the green so much at the moment that they have got so far this year. I mean, and I'm saying that in the fact that Owen Murphy is free, which he'd normally would knock it straight over them and hit the post, and sometimes they flick in, and when the ball actually fell inside in the square, it came back into play, there was nobody there for it. So I think it's very early doors at the moment, but I think Midleton will be slightly the happier team.
Has to end tonight as well, so we could be in for a long night.
Well, knowing Erins on, they don't do drama, or maybe they do drama because 2 draws already this year.
They do drama better than Coronation Street and EastEnders combined. This is the first of 3 games live on the Irish Examiner this weekend. On Sunday, we've got Douglas against Blackrock and Glen Rovers against Imokilly. I know you'll be back on Sunday. You're looking forward to it. Trying to break his way out is Sean O'Leary-Hayes. Is that Alex Quirk, who's come very deep to help him out? The young man, full of running, only 18. Erins own, break Midleton's move down and get the possession back. Alan Moynihan, he's a long way up as well. Again, it breaks for Erins own. Have they got the point? Yes, they have. And it's a really good point as well.
Yeah, another great score from Robbie O'Flynn.
He's third of the game.
Absolutely.
He's fourth, actually.
Yeah, very, very good score. And for people who can't see this maybe on the television at the moment, Midleton are just playing with 1 forward with Luke O'Farrell at the edge of the square. And all other forwards have been withdrawn, kind of, you could say, nearly out to the 40. If there was a 45-yard line there, the 5 players are out there. They're nearly out in the 65-yard line at the moment.
Your maths are better than mine. Robbie O'Flynn is now on 4, isn't he?
I have him for 3.
I have him for 3 as well. Okay, I was right the first time.
No bottles.
Either way, he's having a good game. 2 between them. Cormac Walsh tries to make it his. Sam Guilfoyle is there to pester him as always. Squirts out over the line. Now that's a really hard one to call. The referee is going with the Magpies. Intercepted by Ross O'Regan, but he couldn't get it into his hands. Oh, that was wild. And that will produce a card. What's the colour? I imagine yellow. Kieran Murphy is being called over by Nathan Wall. It's a yellow card. That was a local derby tackle if ever there was one.
He can count himself lucky. I think that Nathan Wall has only produced a yellow there. I suppose there wasn't a ferocious belt off of it, but it was certainly deserving of a card.
Lahan hits the woodwork and it's batted away by Cian O'Connor, but to who? Collected here by Pa White, but he couldn't take it cleanly, but his teammate does. Luke O'Farrell hits it wide. Oh, he'll be very disappointed with that.
Disappointed, but again, you know, that I made the point on the free that Owen Murphy hit the upright, that there was a Midleton man at the end of it to collect the ball and give themselves the opportunity, but didn't convert it.
That's a great double in the air, well connected. Into the corner goes Lahan. He can find space in a phone box. It is in fact Pa White. O'Farrell racing to get there. He had a defender stuck to him and he did his job really well. Dooley is over this one. Can he get it? Sean Kelly has it in hand. Kelly's able to pop it off. That was a really good pass under pressure. Steve Cronin runs into a crowd. It falls the way of Quirk. Quirk tries to guide it over. That's a really hard one score from Midleton.
Yeah, that's a fantastic team score there, particularly for the full forward line for Midleton, who turned over Stephen Cronin coming out with the ball. I think that's Cormac Guzang who turned them over, and Sam Quirk again continuing his form. He's been outstanding with the Cork under 20s this year and was outstanding against SARS, and he's continuing that again tonight.
He's the nephew of David Quirk, who played for Cork in 1990. It wasn't off a stone he licked it, as they say. Here he is again. Quirk drifts it in behind. That's a fantastic take by Tommy O'Connell. O'Connell, will he go for goal? He's at a tight angle via the woodwork. He hits it wide.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how he found himself up into the full forward position, unless we missed something there. But it was a great ball by Sam Quirk straight into his hand. We'll have to watch that if Tommy O'Connell maybe is he injured, or is it a tactical change from the Midleton team to put him up front?
Coakley shovels it out to Robbie O'Flynn. Very good hook. Chasing after it there is Cian O'Callaghan. We haven't seen too much of him yet. I stress yes. That's a good ball. It's not brilliantly dealt with by Saunderson, but he does enough. Erins zone, the danger isn't gone yet. Here's Kieran Murphy. Murphy fancies it, I think. Murphy takes a deflection and goes wide. It is at the very least, well, it's a free, I think, because advantage was being played.
Yes, it's a free in for Erins zone, and I think Brian Saunderson, in fairness to him, had come out and intercepted the ball. It broke to an Erins zone player who popped it into Kieran Murphy. He elected to take it on. One of the middle players across him, I think the ball hit his body, would have been going out for a 65, but he's brought it back for a free. And I'm looking down the field to see where Tommy O'Connell is positioned. Yeah, he's back in his centre-back role, so, there's no such thing as positions, I think, Oisín,
Limerick have it all ruined.
In a modern game,
galloping up.
I don't know. Brian Corcoran would love that. He would start the centre back and end up at full forward on a lot of occasions. But
but it took him a few years to go backwards. It's taken these guys a few seconds. Great tap over Owen Murphy. Brian Corcoran, what an absolute hero for Club and
sure,
County.
Absolutely brilliant player. Hurler of the Year at 19 years of age, and then Hurler of the Year again in 99. An outstanding player in hurling and football.
I remember I was working here at the time, and I saw him at the homecoming for the last All-Ireland final of, was it 03? And the way he was looking up at the stage, I thought to myself, he's going to come back. And then I thought when I went home, now I'm just looking into something that isn't there. And then look what happened.
You must be a visionary. If you can find a couple of fellas, maybe you should be with Henry Shefflin this week to see is Joe Canning going to be coming back for next year.
And that'll be interesting. Spoke to Colin Fennelly a couple of days ago. He said it's a great move for Galway. Great move. We might talk more about that at half time, because right now Erins zone are on the attack. That's a decent looking line ball. It's a really good take coming forward as Maurice O'Carroll has to go the hard way, has to do it the hard way. Maurice O'Carroll, oh, what a fantastic piece of skill. You'd love to see him score a point here after losing it, winning it back the way he did, and then popping up like a spring and putting it over for his second.
Fantastic score. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's his second score. But that one was a really hard-fought ball because he had lost it, and his pick-up was extremely quick and knocked it over the bar. Good quality strike again.
But he was flat on the ground when he picked it up and then got away from the defenders. That was amazing. What have Midleton got by way of a response? It's O'Leary Hayes who slips, but again keeps his composure. Hockney overcarries, and the Midleton are feeling the pressure. They've conceded the free.
Yeah, I think a correct decision from the referee Nathan Wall. Sam Guilfoyle looked like he was going to go in and swing. Paul Hockney put up his hurley but took an extra couple of steps, and Sam Guilfoyle probably tricked him into thinking he was swinging. He never swung, and the referee has awarded a free for overcarrying.
Hockney, who's been around the Midleton scene for a long, long time, if memory serves, played a few league games for Cork as well.
He would have been involved, I think, around 2014, yes.
Here's Owen Murphy. 13 points the last day out. He's already on 3 tonight.
Yes, it brings the game back to a 1 point game now, and I suppose since half time Erins zone, I would think, have bucked it up considerably.
Ross O'Regan trying to make it stick, trying to get into the game. Kieran Murphy falls over, battling now is Cronin, and it's a Midleton line ball. It's been every bit as intense as we thought it would be. Chasing after it is Cork. Can he get there? Yes, he could, but he couldn't get it into the hand. Hockney throwing himself in there as well, trying to sweep it up as O'Carroll falls loose for Moynihan. Midleton not allowing Erins zone any time, any space. That's Buzang. Goes loose again. Chasing after it is Moynihan. Moynihan just allowed it to trickle out, and it's a line ball to Erins zone. Yeah,
and it's been a very, very good 10 minutes for Erins zone. Oisín, it was 8 points to 5 after the first quarter. I think there's 9 points all. You correctly said there was a point between the teams, so that means it's 4 points to 1 for Midleton or for Erins zone in the first 10 minutes of the second quarter.
Midleton have it back. Tommy O'Connell wanted it, and he was running into a lot of green. Coming out to meet it is O'Farrell. There must have been a foul off the ball because it's a free into Midleton.
Yeah, I didn't see that now, but the referee, to be fair to Nathan Wall, he has handled the ball handled the game excellently well so far. Still don't know. I think he's giving a free to Erins zone. He's explaining to Luke O'Farrell what I still can't understand, to be honest, why the free was given. But maybe there was, as you say, an altercation off the ground when he was on the ground. He's not indicating anything, I don't think that, but he's definitely trying to explain it. And what's more is he's actually going into the book, so we didn't see it. Must have something happened off camera.
Sean O'Leary Hayes, who's now studying in Trinity, gets a yellow card.
Sorry, I thought it was Luke O'Farrell, so Sean O'Leary Hayes.
There's a few of them in the back line with white helmets that can cause confusion. But it is O'Leary Hayes. And it is a free for Erins zone, which Owen Murphy will take. It's going to drop. Keeper does well. Saunderson, who's only 18, had to deal with it, and he did.
Yeah, and it's a tricky free right under the crossbar. He did extremely well to palm it over the bar, and has given Erins zone has gone back into the lead now.
Sometimes the keeper can panic under that kind of high ball and they think, well, I can't concede a score, but you are actually just better off tapping it over. That wouldn't be a tap over from Lahan, it would be a shot from a long way out, and it hasn't gone over at all.
And again now the white count has gone from, Midleton had a very good white count in the first quarter, but they've gone from 1 up as far as 5 now. So there's a couple of opportunities there. I suppose Connor again, one off his left before the water break and one off his right there now. And there's very little in them, but I suppose when you're playing knockout championship, you need a bit of a break, and you need those ones to squeeze inside the post rather than squeezing outside it.
Well, we've got an injury, so we'll stop for the moment. Warming up is Barry Og Murphy.
It looks as though it's James O'Flynn, I think, seems to be down at the moment. The doctor and the referee are with him. Seems to be okay. I think he's be putting his helmet back on. I'd say he's okay. Probably have a blood nose or something like that. So, bit of running repairs from Dr. Paddy there, and he's up and running again.
Bowen. Straight down the middle. Why not when you've got battlers like the hero in there in the bear? Great block down on O'Flynn. He might get it back. He does get it back. No block down this time, but there was pressure on him. And he hits it wide. The pressure worked.
Yeah, it was definitely a move from the training ground there. Long ball from Shea Bowen. And knocked down to the hero, to Robbie, but a great block by Sam Quirk to deny Robbie O'Flynn the scoring opportunity.
Falls the way of Kieran Murphy. Outside towards O'Carroll. Can he get there? Yes, he can. O'Carroll, who's showing no signs of that injury. He cushions that one over. A beautiful score. His first of the game.
Yeah, he's a quality player. A player that we wouldn't have seen a whole pile at underage, but he has slipped in at half-back for the last couple of years with Erins zone, and he's blinding pace and desperate strong, and he's a quality striker as well.
Speaking of pace, O'Farrell is trying to get there, but it doesn't reach him. James O'Flynn read that really well. Getting out to meet that is Owen Maloney. O'Farrell, a long way from goal, but he has time and he has space. Does he have another point to his name? The answer is yes. O'Farrell with his 4th of the night, all from play.
Yeah, it's a quality strike again outside the 65 yards line, and Luke wouldn't be known for striking from that far out, but that was a quality strike from Farrell. Great score for Midleton.
It's great work by Owen Maloney to get out and win it and pop it to him. Maloney's only 22, but he's been around a while, played in that county final in 2018. Trying to take off now is Pa White, who scored a goal in that final. Runs into trouble, but Midleton get the free.
Yeah, and in fairness to Nathan Wall, had indicated way back that he was giving a free, and a good decision from the referee to award a free to Midleton, which will give Midleton the opportunity to tie up the game before half-time.
Coming up at half-time, analysis of the game so far, and we'll chat a little bit about Henry's trip to Galway. If Henry goes to Galway, will you come to Waterford? When Liam is done.
I think Waterford already have a manager. There's no need for any Cork fella to go down there.
I don't know. They seem to have done well in the past. Gerald, Justin.
That's right. Yeah. Great guys, in fairness. Yeah. And great success followed.
I'll always be grateful to Gerald because he made Waterford a competitor again. You know, when he took over, we became a force, and it was actually something to get excited about being a Waterford fan. Up to that point, it was quite difficult. Sporadic senior wins over the years, but nothing much to shout about. Nothing sporadic about Conor Lahan. He's a real talent. Over it goes. Ball breaks kindly for Erin's own. Now it's O'Carroll. Lovely pass to Robbie O'Flynn, who eyes up the posts and sticks it over. Now he's on 4 for the match.
And Robbie's not going to make any mistake with that ball there. Erin's own's use of the ball is very, very good.
Half time, and it is Erin's own who lead by 12 points to 11. Are they worthy of their lead, Mark Landers?
Yeah, well, I thought the first quarter of the game it was 8-5 to Midleton, and they had done an awful lot of things well. But it is Erin's own who have picked it up in the second quarter, Oisin, significantly, because they've outscored Midleton 7 points to 3, which is a significant difference. I suppose they have scored a number of frees. One Murphy's on 3 frees for the night, and I think Conor Lahan is on 1 free for the night. But overall, it's a very, very entertaining match. A lot of the scores are coming from play, obviously. 21 score, 23 at the moment, only 4 from frees, no 65. We've had a couple of balls that have hit the upright as well. But I suppose disappointing enough is that there's been no shot at goals, as there's no keeper has been tested at this moment in time. So that probably is one of the features of the game, is that we actually haven't had any shot on goals.
As Sharon Shannon begins to play in Porky Queeve. Midleton started well and then got a little lax, or was it a case that Erin's own just imposed their strength on them? Because we've seen that they can really stop teams playing.
Yeah, well, I think it is. It's a bit of both, really. I would say Midleton were probably, looking for a big response for their team in the first quarter, in particular. I would expect after their poor performance against SARS in the last round of the championship. So they got that response from the team. They got 8 points, all from play, and led by 3 points. But I think, I often say this, going in at half time, if you're losing, I think it's a way easier to get a motivating factor from your team for the next. We're obviously into quarters at the moment with COVID and stuff like that. But I always found at half time, if you were losing by a point or two, it was always easier to G up your team inside in the dressing room and get them out for the second half. And I think that is what has happened. That Erin's own actually have upped the game, and Midleton haven't been able to match that quality. And I wouldn't say that there's nothing in particular. It's just the game is very open. Both teams are going at it very fair, and I think it's a good reflection of the overall game at the half-time break. That there's only a point between the two teams.
From the Midleton point of view, would you be tempted to bring Luke O'Farrell and Conor Lahan maybe a bit further back? Because when they've come deep in one ball, they have done a bit of damage with it.
Yeah, I know. For me, you keep your assets or your scoring forwards as close to the danger area as possible. We know obviously Luke has got that.
Are they getting into it enough though in this game?
Well, I think Luke Farrell has 4 points in play. Conor has 1. That's 5 out of 11. So I think if we're an Erin's own management team, you'll be happy with half of your scores coming from your 2 best players. And I suppose Conor would be disappointed. There was a couple of balls that shaved the post left and right. He could be on 3 points in play, which would give them 7. So between them, so I would be inclined to keep the assets as close to the goals as possible. But I suppose the biggest problem is that maybe there's no one at the edge of the square that can get that ball and maybe bore down on goals. The other side of it, I suppose, is that Sam Guilfoyle had a fierce opening in the first 10 or 15 minutes. He's drifted out of it, but Robbie O'Flynn has been outstanding, and Kieran Hero Murphy has been very instrumental as well, along with I suppose James O'Carroll at wing back, and the 2 lads in the middle of the field, I have to say, Colm Coakley and Sean Kelly. Even though they're up against Hockney and Sam Quirk, all 4 players are contributing there, but Sam Quirk to me is the quality player in the middle of the field with 2 points in play.
Well, it's half time in the opening quarter-final in the Co-op Premier Senior Hurling Championship quarter-final weekend in Cork. 2 more games to come on Sunday. They're both live here on the Irish Examiner, and we're really looking forward to them. It's Douglas against Blackrock. Colm O'Connor, Ger Cunningham and Shawnee McGrath will be on that one. You'll be on the game between Glen Rovers and Imo Keeley, along with Patrick Mulcahy and Shawnee McGrath. A more dodgy crew you couldn't find. Paz actually beside you there. We might get his thoughts on it in a second. But first, the Douglas Blackrock match. Is that a hard one to call, or would you very much fancy Blackrock?
No, you couldn't fancy Blackrock now. They're the county champions. They have done extremely well, having been beaten in the first round by Erin's own to get themselves back into the championship. And I think they're probably improving a fair bit, Oisin. They are county champions, and they won a magnificent county championship last year, beating the Glen after extra time. in the final, beating UCC in the semi-final after extra time. But the game for me last year was their game against Douglas. We covered here in the live streaming last year, Douglas and Blackrock, and it was definitely for me, the first half of that game was the best hurling I saw all of last year. The quality of the striking, the physicality, the communication between both teams was outstanding. Douglas, to be fair to them this year, have really, really played well. They've had 3 victories, the same as SARS, so they're coming into the game with an extreme amount of confidence. The only weakness, I suppose, that they have is that they haven't hit the net in any of their 3 matches this year. So, I think they'll be looking, and they have quality forwards, and that is the big thing with them. That is a big surprise, is that they haven't hit the net. But saying all that, you keep knocking the ball over. If you get about 40, 45 opportunities during the course of the game, and you can knock over somewhere around 25 to 28 points, that'll win an awful lot of hurling matches in the modern game. But imagine if you could stick a goal or 2 past the team as well and get your mid-20s, then you'll be extremely hard to beat.
What about the second game?
So the second game between the McKillie and the Glen, they know themselves fairly well. They've been a good few times over the last number of years. They played in the county final in 2019. In McKillie, I suppose, have had the better of the exchanges in the last number of years. They will be looking for the likes of Seamus Hannity, I suppose. He's the talisman. And I think the Glen, I can see Robbie Downey maybe picking him up, and I think that'll be one of the clashes of the game on Sunday. Obviously, Hannity is looking forward, the same as his teammate Kieran O'Brien, to the East Cork final, the James E. Kelleher final a week later. So that's another stressor, I suppose, from a McKillie point of view, that a lot of the teams and a lot of the players that are involved with McKillie are still left in their own club championship. So the likes of Castlemartyr, Lisgool, Castlelyons, they have all important games coming up, Oisin, over the next couple of weeks. So that might take a little bit of an edge off of McKillie. I think the Glen, obviously they'll be looking to Patrick Horgan for an awful lot of the scores, and McKillie will be obviously trying to shut him down, the same as the Glen are trying to shut down Hannity. And depending how either of those 2 players play on Sunday, that could dictate the outcome of that game.
Let's step outside Cork. We did say we'd talk about this at half-time. By the way, the second half coming up live, Erins own against Midleton, 1 point between them. Erins own leading 12 points to 11. But let's talk about Henry Shefflin going to Galway. I got a call from someone closely connected to the Galway County Board a couple of hours before it was announced, and my reaction was not one I can repeat. I was really genuinely shocked. And you know yourself, generally you hear these things a couple of days before. Generally, you know the news before it's released and confirmed. This really took me by surprise. What was your reaction?
We took us all by surprise, ultimately, because everybody for the whole week was saying that Davy Fitzgerald, the former Clare player and the manager of an awful lot of inter-county teams over the last decade, that he had the job and he had it in the bag. But, Oisin, I don't know what happened in the lead up to maybe the 24 hours before you got the news, but in fairness to Shefflin,
I only found out a couple of hours before it was announced. Yeah,
but obviously there was a deal done. I would suspect, obviously, in the 24 hours leading up to that. But I suppose the key thing is that Galway have pulled a masterstroke, I think, in getting Shefflin. Any man that has won the All-Ireland medals that he has won, and he has cut his teeth in with Ballyhale Shamrocks winning a number of counties and All-Ireland clubs. He has proved himself on the field of play. He's also proved himself off the field of play in terms of his management and stuff like that. So it's obviously a big step up from club to inter-county, but he has got his club Ballyhale Shamrocks to win 2 All-Ireland clubs under his tuition. So, it isn't as big a step as people would think going from club to inter-county, because the quality of any team that wins an All-Ireland club is just, I would say, tethering on just being inter-county. So I think it's a massive, massive boost to the game as well, Oisin, that somebody of Henry's stature is going to Galway and he's involved and he's going in at the inter-county level, and having the experience of club behind him. I think it's massive for the game, I must say. And spare a thought for poor old Davy Fitz, that has contributed an awful lot down through the years and stuff like that. But, I suppose there's a new breed of manager coming, and like you look at Kilkenny now, Michael Fennelly is training Offaly, Eddie Brendan is training Coola, having trained at Laois for a couple of years, and David Herty is involved obviously with the Dublin, I think the Dublin Camogie team as well.
Dara Egan and Wexford you mentioned.
You know, but like the big thing I suppose from a Kilkenny point of view is they're obviously looking for a replacement for Brian Cody at some stage. And that's what I'm looking at, is how are those three managers going to perform? Because I think one of those three managers will be the men that will take over, or will be the man to take over the mantle of Brian Cody, in my view.
But Cody could be in charge for another 10 years.
No, I don't see that happening. I think Brian Cody is I think Kilkenny are crying out for somebody to replace him, but they actually haven't found the individual yet. And I think, you know, maybe the likelihood is a Michael Fennelly or a Henry Shefflin could be the man to take over that mantle if they show what the Kilkenny County Board require, I suppose.
And just before we move off this subject and back onto this game, because Midleton are back out, are Galway the team that physically can match Limerick? Are they the only team out there that can physically take Limerick on?
I think physically themselves, Galway and Waterford, I think also are a very, very physical team, and having Tadhg de Burca back next year along with Stephen O'Keefe will help their ply. I think it's a big statement of intent from Liam Cahill, because he had the Tipperary job in my opinion if he wanted it, but he decided to be loyal to Waterford, and I think they'll get a tune out of him. But if you ask me who's the best placed team to dethrone Limerick, I think Cork are the best team out there with the youth. It just depends on the style of play that Cork will play. If Cork will go with a short passing game, I can see them dethroning him. But if they play like Pat Ryan had the under-21s playing this year, I thought they played a fantastic brand of hurling against a more physical team against Galway in the under-20 final, and that's the quality of hurling that's required from a Cork point of view to dethrone Limerick.
Well, we might get a better view after this weekend is done on who might step into that Cork panel, who can step up to the Cork panel. This is knockout hurling in the Rebel County. It is the Co-op Superstores Cork Premier Senior Hurling Championship quarter-final. We've already had one half, now it's the start of the second, and it's Robbie O'Flynn who's going for it from a long way out. Robbie O'Flynn, it'll drop, it's dangerous, it squirts wide, and it was wide. It did come off the helmet of Cian O'Callaghan. Yeah. We have had a replacement coming in as Barry Og Murphy. I didn't quite catch who he replaced.
Stephen Cronin.
Stephen Cronin, and the wing-back number 5 has gone off, and he's been replaced by Barry Og Murphy. So first wide of the half. It could have been a goal, but he couldn't keep his what turned out to be a header on target. Here comes Cormac Walsh. Yet to score in this game, but he's played well from wing-back, and now he's added a point.
Yeah, it's a very, very good score from Cormac, and we mentioned earlier on that he was having a good game, and that's a very, very good score, and a great score from Midleton at the start of the second half.
Bowen goes long. Bounces kindly for the Magpies. Deneen has a little look up, but gets it down the park. Great catch by O'Farrell. O'Farrell plants the feet and drags it.
Yeah, good play by Luke Deneen again. He has his hands full of Robbie O'Flynn, but he's still getting on enough ball himself.
Bowen. Cormac Walsh couldn't quite make it his. Fighting for it was Maurice O'Carroll. Erins own have it. Trying to turn out of the tackle as O'Flynn gets it backwards to Barry Og Murphy. It's a one-on-one battle for this sliotar. Now it's 2-on-1 because the keeper has done really well to sweep in. He's looking very, very cool for one so young. It's a tough position to play in, regardless of age, particularly when you're only a child, which Saunderson is. Aaron's own trying to get it clear. O'Flynn, was he fouled? Ref allows play to continue.
There could have been a bit of grass under the fingernails there, I think, O'Shane.
Just a touch. Tommy O'Connell looking for Quirk. Quirk is beaten to it. Well read by Alan Moynihan. Speaking of well read, O'Maloney gets out and inside to Cormac Walsh. Was he out of play? Did he throw it? It is a line ball, I think, to Erin's own. O'Maloney, unfortunately for him, couldn't keep it in play. We didn't get to chat about it at half time, but as we say, a massive weekend for the future of football. Follow Congress across all of the Irish Examiner's social media channels and of course the website tomorrow, as Cork tries to make that sliotar his, and does. Just about balances it, keeps it going. Not the smoothest run out of defence in the world, but got the job done. Just went under the stick of O'Farrell. Trying to win a foot race here with Cian O'Connor. O'Farrell has fouled his man free out. He's protesting. He doesn't think it was a foul.
Yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see what'll transpire here. But I think Nathan Wall probably blew the whistle maybe a little bit earlier, thinking the ball was gone out of play.
He thought it was wide, did he?
I think so.
Yeah.
He's probably going to throw in the ball here.
It is a clash ball. When that happens, it's Midleton who have the possession. It's O'Farrell. Will he go for goal? Oof. Took it in the back there, I think, Cian O'Connor. And Erins won't deal with it. They caught a break there, O'Flynn. Good take by the defender. Out it goes to O'Leary Hayes. Was there a late hit there? Yes, there was. Free out to Midleton.
Yeah, but
well, Nathan Wall might have a decision to make here, because I think the player who committed that foul may well already be on a yellow card. Kieran Murphy is coming over. The referee is chatting to him. What will Nathan Wall's decision be here? If it is Murphy
he's going to
who
the
committed
book.
that, and if it is a yellow card offence, that's him done. It is a yellow. It's a second yellow, and Kieran Murphy has been sent off.
I'd love to see a replay of it, and I'd love to see it from the side angle. From where we were, it looked as though Owen Maloney had come. Kieran Murphy had probably just stopped and held his ground, but when you're on a yellow, and you mentioned it earlier on about Luke Deneen being on a yellow and stuff like that, you walk a tight line then, but it's so early in the game, and so early in the second half to get 2 yellow cards. Let's wait and see whether it'll have an effect on the game or not. Sometimes a team, more often than not, lift their game when they have a man sent off.
An Erins zone, we've said it so many times, the most stubborn team in the top tier of Cork hurling. If there's anyone who can do it, it is them. Alex Quirk is being replaced by Sean O'Mara on the Midleton team. There wasn't much in it, that particular incident. It looked like he just kind of stood his ground. He did lean in with the shoulder. That one's gone over. It's a good score.
And that's a fantastic score from Conor Lehane inside his own 65-yard line. And that's just the boost that Midleton want now. They're down, Erins zone down a man, and it's a level game. And you'd have to say that the advantage in some respects has switched towards Midleton. It just depends whether they're going to put the head down and drive on now.
Mark Collins is warming up for Erins zone, who've been asked a big question, but they've often come up with the big answer. Midleton will try and run it through the lines. Pa White goes behind him. It's collected by Coakley. That's intercepted. It's all going Midleton's way at the moment. But that one is sold short. A little bit too casual. We saw that in the first half from Midleton at times as well.
Yeah, well, that was a score that should have been knocked over the bar. He got the opportunity, and the next couple of minutes now, if you're down a man, the next couple of minutes is going to be a big determinating factor in where this match will actually end up.
Cian O'Callaghan is fouled. It's a free in, or free out, I beg your pardon. As the change is being made, Mark Collins is coming in.
No, this is going to be a free in, I think.
Yeah, it is a free in.
The end zone player was,
Are you surprised with that?
I am surprised.
Going off?
Well, I mentioned earlier on in the commentary that I thought he had a fantastic opening first 15 minutes, but I felt also that he drifted out of the game. I'm a bit surprised because he brings a fierce physical edge to this game, and you'd have to say that Tommy O'Connell hasn't been hugely influential, so we'll just have to see how that is going to play out now.
Owen Murphy puts it over. A vital score. 13 points apiece. Ball goes loose around the middle. Sean O'Mara, who generally plays in the half-forward line. Ball presented out in front. Won by the Magpies and then lost by the Magpies. Collected by Barry Og Murphy. That's out for a line ball. Game gone a little bit scrappy. Maybe that suits Erins zone at this stage. Down a man. Kieran Murphy sent off.
It's probably a bit unusual, Oisin, insofar that the game has been played in a great spirit, and it's just a bit surprising that we have a sending off. But in fairness to Nathan Wall, very experienced referee, And Owen can count himself lucky, I suppose, for a strike early on in the game, but he'll be really disappointed on the one to give him the second yellow.
Shot by O'Leary Hayes into space. It was a good ball. Collected well. That's a little bit loose. It'll be a free. Erins' own will hope that there's nothing worse coming here.
Yeah, it's a tricky one for a player because the ball is coming up into his hand. He didn't swipe. He put his hurley out to kind of knock it away. Obviously, there's a clash of the ash against the hand, against the flesh, and it sounds worse than it actually is, but it is a free.
Tommy O'Connell is injured. They'll hope he can play on. It's a yellow card for Maurice O'Carroll. He was going for the ball, but sometimes you can be a bit too over-eager. I've had a look, by the way, at that, I was going to say sending off offence, but yellow card offence, the second yellow for Kieran Murphy. He was kind of standing side on and stepped into the runner with his shoulder into the chest, but it wasn't the most vicious thing in the world.
Yeah, but like when you're on a yellow, you just can't afford to make those things. If you didn't have a yellow, fair enough, I could accept that. But what he should have done is probably held out his two hands, stood firm, and let the Midleton player collide into him. And there's a possibility that Owen Maloney might have got the yellow card for charging. But certainly when you turn your shoulder sideways and you get a player into the chest, Nathan Wall had no other choice but to give him a yellow card.
I'm not sure if Lehane just dropped that free short and was actually going for it, or was he trying to drop it into the back stick. Either way, that didn't work out. I can't imagine he was trying to drop it in. I imagine he was going for the point and just didn't strike it particularly well. No real breeze to speak of in Porky Queeve tonight. It's crisp and still, but it's not cold and it's not windy. Here's Hockney. That's a really strong hand pass running onto a par white. Policed heavily by James O'Flynn. James O'Flynn bravely wins the ball back, then gets shouldered in the back, and it's a free out.
Well, that's a real good defender's play there now, because Per White had 2 or 3 feet, or 2 or 3 yards, on James O'Flynn, on the pick-up. Flynn came in, took it off of him, won the ball, now has been fouled, and Shea Bowen is a free from a long ways out, which I have no doubt he'll stick at the edge of the square. Well, the big thing here is that Erins' own have now weathered the storm of the sending off. They'll be trying to get to the second water break without, Midleton. If they can contain Midleton to level scores or within a point, they'll have done really well. Martin Bowen will be getting stuck into his lads then for the last 15 minutes to see it out.
Shea Bowen delivers it long. Breaks kindly for Robbie O'Flynn. Got his shot away, but he was kind of smothered. Here's Deneen. It rebounded around and went out wide.
Yeah, again, and a good shot on Robbie Flynn pulled the trigger first time. But you will be looking for the Robbie Flynns now. You will be looking to Mark Collins, who's just on to make an impression on this in this game.
It's a long ball from Keevok Smith. Taken well by O'Farrell. Shooting is Ross O'Regan. Brilliant block down. That's what Erins' own do so well. Remember, down to 14 men. Kieran Murphy sent off. And according to the letter of the law, by the way, it was a late tackle. That is a yellow, and therefore a second yellow equals red. So Nathan Wall made the right decision. It's just one of those ones where you say, it's just frustrating. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't vicious.
No, but
change being made. Aaron Mulcahy is coming in. He is replacing, is it Pa White?
I think it's Pa White,
yeah. In fairness to Nathan Wall, he always tries to let a game flow. Mulcahy, only 20. Ball comes to Coakley. Good catch by the goalkeeper. Driving it on is Tommy O'Connell, showing no ill effects from that injury. Who's going to win the break here? It'll go the way of the Magpies. Collected by Buzang. And Midleton have a score. And Midleton have the lead.
And that's the third point from Cormac Buzang, who's putting it on the scoreboard this evening. And he forwarded at 3 points after 42 minutes. He'd be quite happy with his lot at this moment in time.
Swung at in the air by Collins, but collected bravely by Midleton. O'Leary Hayes. Taken well on the bounce. Cormac Walsh, he's already got one tonight. And he's squeezed over a second. Really good score.
Well, there's the modern player now. Your Kyle Hayes from Midleton there. Cormac Welch, 2 points from play. Quality score again. Midleton or Erins are getting very little out of the substitute Mark Collins, who's come on. He's been beaten on a number of occasions on the high ball. Erins' own management will be very disappointed. They've got nothing yet from him.
It's pumped forward. O'Callaghan tries to get under it, but Keevok Smith does very well. O'Farrell. Hockney. O'Farrell is very deep indeed. Running after this one is Buzang. He's just popped one over. He's got a runner inside. Lahan is there as well. Goes for it himself. Very, very casual. Blocked down and collected by Barry Murphy. Hockney couldn't keep a hold of it, but pressed it forward and got it to his teammate. That will be some score if it goes over from Aaron Mulcahy, and it has. You want your subs to make an impact. That's what he's done.
And in a twinkle of an eye, between 40 minutes and 43, Midleton have got 3 points clear and are starting showing advantage on the scoreboard as well as on the field.
Midleton, who've endured a frustrating couple of years, I think it's fair to say, in the Senior Hurling Championship, the Premier Senior Hurling Championship, to wait to get that ball back. Hockney, he's popping up all over the place. That's a little bit too high. It went over the head of O'Leary Hayes. It's a line ball for Erin's own.
Sean O'Leary Hayes has also turned it into the game. He's a quality player. He's looking very sure and confident in his own ability this evening. And he's having a big influence at the back for Midleton.
I think Nathan Wall is telling one of the mentors to get back into the technical area. Ronan Toomey is warming up for Erin's own. That's struck by Murphy. O'Flynn tried to make it his. It's dealt with by the Midleton defence. It doesn't matter how you get it out, so long as you get it out. Cormac Walsh, through all means necessary there. Now motoring forward is Quirk. That worked out. Good pass to O'Regan. That's going to drop. Falls the way of Midleton. Bones saw it all the way. Hitting it wide was Sean O'Mara.
I think it might have come off the Erins zone player, the full back. I think it might have hit him and ricocheted. I think Shea Bone might have got a touch out for a 65 as well. See the ricochet straight out. But he certainly got a belt to the slitter, the full back.
Dooley doesn't go down unless he's hurt. So that would actually stand to reason.
He's a very good full back. He's had a great season as well. And he's last number of seasons he's been a rocket centre back for Erins zone. Along with the cornerback Keane O'Connor, the two of them have been hugely influential for Erins zone over the last number of years. But you know, if a goal had come off of that opportunity, Oisin, I think it would be, and you can't ever discount Erins zone, but at this moment in time, Midleton are certainly finding their players easier, and the ball is coming out of the Erins zone forward line way too easy for Erins zone's liking.
Well, a change being made by Erin's own Cian O'Callaghan, who got goals in 2 games so far in this championship. He won't get a goal today because he's being replaced by Ronan Toomey.
This has been an important 65 now for Midleton. This will give him a 4-point cushion going in, and I think Nathan Wall will probably blow up for the half-time break after it. And it's a really, really nice cushion to have 4 points if the 65 goes over the bar.
Lahan zips it over, and it's Midleton by 4. And we're at the water break. Right, what do you do if you're Erin's own?
Well, they have a couple of question marks to answer, but look, they have done it all year long this year. They've been outstanding. They were 10 points down at half time against the Baz. They came back to get a draw, and they lived on their nerves and against Charleville, and in the first round they beat Blackrock as well, the county champion. So Erin's own aren't going to go away at all easily, but it is certainly an awful lot harder when you're down to 14 men. And Cian Murphy was having a very, very good game and is having an influence on it. I suppose so. From an Erin's own point of view, you're really asking lads, you know, can we get one last drop of effort out of you? You obviously need to get Robbie O'Flynn on the ball as well. Is it a case of putting maybe Robbie O'Flynn in full forward? He'll end up probably having two fellas on him, but that will be a help to the overall team out the field, because numerically it will be the same numbers for the rest of the field if you put Robbie O'Flynn at the edge of the square, because Midleton will end up putting two players and putting the spare man on him. So that's what I would be doing if I was Erins. I'd be putting Robbie O'Flynn in full forward. If you're Midleton, you're saying, whatever you do, don't concede a goal and don't concede frees. That'd be the clear message I'd be giving the Midleton players right now, because they're 4 points up, and I don't see, Erins Own maybe getting 6 or 7 points in the second half from play, in the last quarter from play. So for Midleton, don't concede frees and don't give away a goal, and I think they'll have 1 foot in the semi-final.
Erins Own, who have made a cottage industry of proving doubters wrong. Can they do it tonight? Down to 14. Kieran Murphy, 2 yellow cards. Both were yellow card offences, by the way.
6 points to 1 in the third quarter as well to Midleton, and we'd mentioned on the 40th minute that if they could stick within 1 point, they'd be doing well, but Midleton stretched it out to a 4-point lead.
Robbie O'Flynn is trying to get under this one. Can't get possession. It was batted away from him by Luke Deneen. That's an incredibly tough job that Luke Deneen has been given to mark Robbie O'Flynn.
He has, but he's doing well. I mean, Robbie is scoreless in the second half, and that's down to Luke Deneen, and he's a good, strong player and very good physical presence under the high ball.
Maloney got out in front. O'Connell winds up and sends it away. Trying to get there for Midleton is James Nagle. Swept on by Ross O'Regan. Ross O'Regan loses out to James O'Flynn. Midleton try and get it back. And there's a scramble. Trying to get over it is Ross O'Regan. Coakley. Sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. Coakley hits it down towards Owen Murphy. Bounces past Owen Maloney. Referee spotted a tug on the jersey or something, or maybe reckless use of the hurling. It's a free out.
It might have even been a flick of the hurley. Oisin, I think that Owen Maloney went to control the ball, and Owen Murphy tapped his hurley just as it was coming to him. Good decision, a good spot by Nathan Walder.
Well, hand comes all the way back to take it.
So the other thing I suppose we mentioned is that Sam Gilfoyle came off very early in the second half, and I think his presence has been sorely lost because I think every time the ball goes down into the Erins Own forward line, it's coming out way too easy.
And I wonder, was it an injury or something? But either way, he's gone. Robbie O'Flynn wins the free bravely and strongly. Still only 4 points in it.
Yeah, but it's very important now that Erins Own knock this ball over the bar, bring the game back to a 1 point game. 1 score game, because we know that Erins Own are never going to give up, and they're the one team that, like, even if they're 3 points down with time up or even into injury time, they'll have plenty of confidence in their own ability to eke out a goal to equalise it.
Owen Murphy. Good score. 3 point game. Midleton making a change. Coming in is Adam Daly. Paul Hockney being replaced by him. Midleton trying to escape through Tommy O'Connell. Aims it down towards O'Farrell. O'Farrell is beaten to it. Really good defence by Cian O'Connor. Cian O'Connor running out of options and over carrying it.
He was a bit unlucky there now. Because he had rode a couple of tackles. But I think the Midleton crowd, the Midleton mentors, might have given Nathan Waller a bit of a helping assistance there. But again, it pushes it. I expect that Connor will knock it over the bar and push it out to 4 points. But Cian O'Connor, you'd have to compliment on the quality of how he picked the ball. Coming first time at full pelt, and he picked it first time. Bit unlucky there that he didn't get the ball away.
Conor Lehan restores the 4 point lead. In the programme notes, County Chairman Mark Sheehan said neighbours Erins Own and Midleton rarely produce anything less than top class hurling. I think he's been proven right from what we've seen so far this evening. At times it's been tough and it's been tense, but that is club championship. Moments of quality kind of in between the battling. Colm Coakley ran out of room.
Yeah, I think Erins are justified in their assessment there, because I don't think the ball had actually gone out of play at all. If anything, it was possibly on the line. Very, very unlucky there. I mentioned earlier on about him not getting the rub of the green, and that's just a clear indication there.
Colm Coakley will want to stay on. He'll want to stay battling. Requiring a change of helmet is Adam Daly, the Midleton number 28. By the way, a big thank you to whoever it was in Midleton who didn't put the stripes through the jersey, through the numbers. I cannot thank that person enough.
The numbers are a bit easier to. There are a couple of teams, all right, that the numbers are difficult on the lights as well.
Quirk. O'Farrell goes out to meet it. He's dispossessed again by Cian O'Connor. He's having a stormer.
Well, he's very, very good on the last couple of balls. But I suppose at the same time, you'd have to say that Luke O'Farrell has 4 points from play.
O'Carroll was trying to drop it into O'Flynn, but couldn't find him. That's a little bit loose as clearances go, chasing after the Sean O'Mara. O'Mara under pressure from O'Flynn. O'Mara catches a break because O'Flynn slips. O'Mara, was it a foul? Referee doesn't think so. O'Farrell can't win it back, trying to escape with Sean Kelly. Clash of the Ash. It squirts out over the line and it's a line ball. Well, they seem to be indicating to Erin's own, and the referee is agreeing.
Yeah, I think I'm right. I think Nathan Watt is actually right, because Sean Kelly threw up the ball to clear it, and I think there was a Midland defender got a slight, or Midland forward got a slight touch on the ball, and I think it was the right decision by Nathan Watt to ward it down zone.
Barry Og Murphy winding up.
Yeah, Owen Murphy is going off, and I think that's what the hold up is.
Correction to the Rowan substitution. It should be given a quickie of Owen Murphy has been replaced by Brian Ramsey.
Lahan slips one through, but Erin's own man waiting. It's Cian O'Connor. Running onto it as the new man in, Brian Ramsey. Ramsey looking to make an instant impact, and he has.
That's a fantastic score from Brian Ramsey, a player who has been involved in the championship all this year. I think this is his first game not starting, but that is a fantastic introduction. A great ball out of defence by Cian O'Callaghan, straight into his hand as well.
Intercepted. Mark Collins, 2 in a row for Erin's own.
Well,
you just can't knock them down, can you? Well, you can, but you can't keep them down.
No, they're just unbelievable. And there's 2 points now. Game back in the melting pot. 2 points between the teams.
Claude forward. Trying to win it back now is Adam Daly. Falls away of Erin's own. They're winning a lot of breaking ball at the moment, but the lack of numbers, the fact that they're a man down, really told there when they'd no one to attack it. Here's Sean O'Leary-Hayes.
Yeah, but I think James O'Flynn has gone full forward. I was going to mention it a while ago. He looked like he was injured going back to tackle Sean O'Mara a while ago. He's gone into the full forward position. I'm a bit surprised maybe that Sam Guilfoyle hasn't come back on. Maybe he's injured as well, and maybe that's why he was taken off so early.
Walsh back to Saunderson. Erin's own have a second win. Tommy O'Connell. Again, Midleton just able to take advantage of the fact that they have an extra man. O'Farrell gets it under his spell. Threw it to Kirvok Smith, who was running down the line. Very often in hurling, you'll get away with that. Smith only 18, played under 17 for Cork. A really impressive talent. Midleton going again. Tommy O'Connell trying to intercept is Barry Og Murphy. He almost lost it, but then got it back. 3 magpies around him. That's generally seen as good luck. It was bad luck there. Ramsey. Barry Og Murphy, I beg your pardon. Midleton win it back, but illegally so. It's a free out.
He actually had lost the ball, Colm Coakley, but the Midland player continued on, And I think a correct decision from Nathan Wall to award a free.
A change being made.
Of course, Owen Murphy, their main free taker, is gone off at this stage as well. And there's been 2 frees. You know that Owen Murphy within his range. Shane Bowen is a very good free taker as well. But in some respects, you probably would prefer your number 1 free taker to be still on the field, particularly when it gets so tight in the game. And frees are critical.
This could well drop. James O'Flynn left it absolutely out there. He's looking fairly gassed as he walks off. Bowen, he's been there, he's done that.
Well, that's a massive score in the context of the game for Shea Bowen, under a huge amount of pressure, and he has stepped up to the plate, striking the free from inside his 65-yard line, broke the hurley in the course with the free by the Cork commentator here, Patrick Mulcahy. The eagle eye up in the box.
They don't need Hawkeye in Croke Park, they should just hire Pat. Erins have won it back. Are we going to see an equaliser, a turn, a shot, a point possibly from Ramsey Noah wide?
Well, that's the second ball that has been intercepted from a puck out from Saunders and goals. Right now, Midleton are on the ropes. They need to just make sure that they gain possession. I mentioned not to give away frees and not give away a goal. And it has been frees that have brought Erins along with their heart and determination, and their experience has brought them back into this game.
Trying to win it is Mulcahy. Midleton get the free in. It's a huge call at a vital time.
Yeah, and I think up to at this stage, probably, you know, some of the frees that are coming out, the game is really in the melting pot with only a point in it and 3 minutes left on the clock. There will be obviously a small bit of injury time and stuff for that, but every ball now has to be contested very fairly, very squarely. Don't give away frees on either side is what you'll be hoping that your players do.
Low trajectory from Lehane, but it worked. Gives Midleton just a little bit of breathing space. 2 points in it. Erins Owen, we've seen it in the past, more than capable of getting goals. O'Maloney cushions it out to Mulcahy. Mulcahy back outside, launching it is Daly. O'Farrell is the target. O'Farrell will have to win it the hard way. He's being held off it strongly there. Barry Murphy managed to sweep it only to O'Farrell. O'Farrell pops it off to a man in a better position. That man is Buzang, and Buzang gets his 4th.
And a great response from Midleton there. Great tackle from Keane O'Callaghan and Luke O'Farrell. The ball squirted out, and Midleton have created a point scoring opportunity, and they've taken it and stretched out the lead to 3.
28, by the way, is Seamus O'Farrell. He's down as Adam Daly on the programme, but it is Seamus O'Farrell. Bit of a loose pass there. It's robbed back by Erins Owen. It was Moynihan. It goes loose. Goes loose again. It's a battle. Can Erins Owen get a goal chance here? They'll settle for a point right now. Hitting that one is Ronan Toomey. And Toomey does get a point.
And that's a magnificent score. Went on his right hand side, turned without looking off his left, and ended up straight between the posts. 2 point game, 59 minutes on the clock. The bases are loaded.
Ball might break here. Just poked forward with the boot by Sean O'Mara. And it's a free in.
Oh, unbelievable there. In a tight game, looked like Cormac Dooley had got in to touch the flick when the ball had come up off the hurley. There may have been a slight push in the back in advance, but it was a very, very tight call. I think he'd be very unlucky there.
Well, this to restore the 3 point lead. It is Lehane. It's a 3 point lead. Still, you would not write Erins Owen off. Coming in, by the way, is Christian Murphy.
Ross O'Regan is replaced by Sean O'Farrell wearing number 27.
How many Sean O'Farrells is there?
Additional time in the second half, at least 5 minutes.
Tommy O'Connell, big shoulder, big clearance. Midleton trying to keep the attack alive, trying to get it back as O'Carroll. O'Carroll is dispossessed. Midleton could be in here. O'Farrell is completely free. The wrong option was taken, but the chance not gone yet. Now it is. Cleared by Erins' own, who just about hang on in there. If that was netted, then the game was really over. Erins' own, do they have the numbers to fight for this? Do they have the strength? Do they have the energy? Robbie O'Flynn hasn't given up on this, battling for it on his knees. We've seen that from Erins' own men before. Sean O'Leary-Hayes, it's a free in. He overcarried.
And I was just about to mention how well the Tommy O'Connell had done picking the ball off the ground now for descent by Sean O'Leary-Hayes. The ball has been brought in from outside the D to inside the D. Could we see Shea Bone coming up? He's probably shouting to put the ball over the bar. There's 61 minutes 40 seconds gone. There's going to be 3 minutes left after he takes it. There's going to be back down to a two-point game.
Tapped over by Ramsey.
Big call from the management team to knock the ball over the bar. 3 minutes left in the game.
Well, the noise level has gone right up here in Porky Queeve. Let's hope the remaining 2 quarterfinals this weekend are as exciting. Lahan, that is a wondrous effort from Lahan. 3 points the gap again.
Sheer class from Lahan. Give credit where credit is due. Plucked a great ball out of the play in a tight game. Knocked it over the bar first time. Great goal from Lahan.
Murphy launches it. Erins' own need a goal. 2.5 minutes to go, but they mightn't get too many opportunities. Here's one which they hit wide. They're very, very unlucky. Ronan Toomey.
He'd be very disappointed with that. In actual fact, he probably had a chance, Oisin. He was in full flow. He could have cut in. His team is 3 points down. There's only 2 minutes left in the clock. I don't think anything other than a goal is going to do Erins' own at this stage.
You just cannot write them off. Saunderson gives that one everything. Midleton had that goal chance a couple of minutes ago. They butchered it. Will they live to regret that? Erins' own have the ball back. They run it out of defence. Up the line it goes. O'Flynn couldn't make it his. O'Connell. There's 2 waiting there for Erins' own. The goalkeeper says it's mine. Hits it out. It's a bit of a risky one. Fumbling it is Lenihan, but Lenihan does get it under his spell. Lenihan, can he get the shot away or drop it in? He's dropping it in. Robbie O'Flynn is trying to get there, as is Collins. Collins just gets away from him. Great defending from Maloney.
Fantastic by Maloney, because it had fallen and looked like the opportunity had fallen to Mark Collins. All he had to do was pick it, but Maloney got in to squeeze the ball out and it's cleared the danger.
Having a look up is Barry Og Murphy. Again, he's going to try and drop it in or around the edge of the square. It doesn't make it that far. It might break for Sean Kelly. Sean Kelly, who's been immense all evening. Lenihan trying to find a way through. Erins' own not giving up. Robbie O'Flynn, can he make it his? Robbie O'Flynn goes to ground. Was he fouled? Referee says no. Could that be the game?
And again, Tommy O'Connell with a great pick up there in the square. Robbie O'Flynn bearing down on goals, and O'Connell picked it out of, sniped it. There's 3 clearances he's made in the last 5 minutes. Fantastic play from O'Connell.
Buzang to try and make it 4. He can't. And somehow Erins' own hang on. We're talking seconds rather than minutes now. Midleton quite simply have more went around that ball. Sean Kelly gets in there to try and wrestle it back. It's a free to Midleton, and that could be that. Brave stuff from Sam Quirk. One of the younger men, but one of the bigger players for Midleton.
Yeah, I think that is probably going to see out the game, Oisin, now. It's just late in the game. Fantastic clearing save there from Tommy O'Connell a while ago. And has been a real battle-hard performance from both teams tonight. Midleton have just eked it out at the very, very end.
I think something must have been said, because he's brought it forward.
Yeah, I suppose when those 50-50 decisions go against you, and you see that the opposition have a point scoring opportunity and the clock is ticking over the 65, over the allotted injury time, you know your goose is cooked for another 12 months.
Lahan makes sure of it. Erins' own yet again have stood up, yet again have shown fight, but it might not be enough. Barry Murphy blocked down. Midleton on the hunt for more scores. Buzang lost it. Barry Murphy battling for it. It's going to go loose. It's going to go out. It's an Erins own ball. They try and go quickly. They try and create something here. O'Carroll. Who's it going to rebound to? It's like pinball there. Eventually it does fall the way of Lenihan. Lenihan looking for Robbie O'Flynn. Great take out in front. There's an awful lot to do. Oh, that's a great flick. Getting in there was Walsh. Here's Sean Kelly. Kelly with a bit of a loose pass. O'Carroll. O'Carroll just crowded out. Smothered. Couldn't get his shot away. That should be enough for Midleton. It's all over and Midleton are back in the semi-finals of the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship. They've had to battle hard against Erins Own, but they've come out by 4 points in the end. Midleton 23 points, Erins Own 19 points.
Well, we are treated to a really, really good performance and a great game of championship hurling here tonight, Oisin. No quarter answer given by both teams. Played in a real sporting manner. I says, look, some people are going to point to the sending off of Owen Murphy as being a changing factor in the game. I wouldn't subscribe to that at all, to be honest. With 62 minutes on the clock, there was only 2 points in it. Erins Own have died in their boots tonight for their club and their jersey. They've done their parish proud. They were really magnificent under tough circumstances. And I think Midleton, when the questions were asked late in the game, they answered all the questions, both from frees and from play. Conor Lahan ended up scoring 8 points between frees, 65s and play. Luke O'Farrell had an outstanding first half, getting 4 points. And Cormac Buzang got 2 in the first half, 2 in the second half from play, 4 overall. He did a fantastic outing as well. And for me, if I was picking a man of the match, I suppose I would pick, Cormac Welsh at wing back tonight. I thought he was outstanding, along with Sean O'Leary Hayes and Luke Dineen, who got the owner's task of marking Robbie O'Flynn for the hour. Robbie got 4 points from play, but I suppose they were all scored in the first half. Oisin, no score in the second half, and Luke Dineen had a really good game overall. So I think Midleton are deserving winners, just about, but their task was made probably slightly easier by the fact that they had to play against 14 men for a long time, and also the loss of James O'Flynn to injury was no help to Erins Own either.
And Midleton, we got to see some mettle from their younger players tonight. I mean, Sean O'Farrell came off the bench.
I
Quirk
suppose
in corner forward. Sam Quirk in midfield. Tommy O'Connell still relatively young. These guys played well tonight.
Yeah, they did, in fairness. I think it was overall a very good performance from Midleton. I thought Tommy O'Connell, for me, in the last quarter, probably the last 10 minutes in particular, had a really good last 10 minutes. He made a couple of vital interceptions, drove out with the ball and struck some quality clearance as well. I think overall Midleton would be delighted to get back into the semi-final, erase the poor performance against SARS, and now they'll be eyeing up a prize. They'll be eyeing up the final, I suppose, because, as we said before the game started tonight, that this result now throws the championship slightly different in terms of the way it's going to pan out. So Midleton go down to the bottom half of the draw, and you're going to have, I think I'm almost certain in saying that the winners of the Glen and the McKillie will pick up that spot now, and they'll be playing SARS. Whoever wins that game ends up playing SARS, and you'll have Midleton in one semi-final playing against the Rockies or Douglas in the other semi-final. So, fascinating night's hurling.
We'll talk more about Midleton in a moment, and obviously we look ahead to the other quarter-finals. But credit must be given to Erins Own. Lost a man, Kieran Murphy, rightfully sent off in the second half. But they still showed fight, they still showed determination, and as per usual, they went down fighting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They were magnificent now. They'd be really disappointed, obviously, to go out of the championship having been the only unbeaten team, one of the 3 unbeaten teams in the championship so far. But I suppose, they played really well all year long, but just came up slightly short. And I mentioned earlier on during the course of the commentary that I didn't think they got a whole pile of the rubber green over the course of the match. And I think for me, when you come to a narrow game like that, you need every little bit of luck to go your way. And I don't think Erins Own got a whole pile of luck tonight.
Eagle Eyes Pa Mulcahy, who will be on commentary on Sunday for the Irish Examiner, we'll give the details of the games in just a moment, was here tonight. Pa, what did you make of it?
Yeah, very, very entertaining game. Very free-flowing the opening half. I suppose bit stop-start in the second half, unfortunately. But in saying that, I think probably the better team have won. I suppose a lot of people who look at the big point of that second half being the second yellow card given to Kieran Murphy. Someone said to me there that the 2 yellow cards look harsh. I'd have to re-look at the first one. I thought the second one slightly a bit harsh, all right. But in saying that, Erins Owen had chances to try and get back into the game, to get back to the lead in that second half. Didn't do so. And Midleton have come out the better side, come out on top.
Yeah, like I suppose for me, I thought Nathan Ward handled the game extremely well. The first yellow card for me was a definite yellow card. It was a striking offence to Hurling. He can count himself lucky that in other situations I've seen referees to send him off. But as I've mentioned, in being a player and being involved in the management of teams, when you're on a yellow card and you're that player on the yellow card, you have to be so careful with what happens afterwards. Most referees don't want to send any player off. I think Nathan Wall made the correct call this evening. As you say, he went side on and he gave him a little dunch. He'd have been better off if he opened up his body and just stayed straight and left Owen Maloney collide into him.
Exactly. It's a late tackle, therefore it's a yellow, and that's the rules.
Yeah, I don't think he's have any argument.
And I feel bad for Kieran Murphy because he's such a great servant of his club. But look, the rules are the rules.
Yeah.
Right, lads, let's move on to Sunday. Douglas against Blackrock, Glen Rovers against Imokilly. Pa, you'll be on the Glen Rovers Imokilly game, so I'll start with you on that. You're along with that. Mark and Shawnee, should be a belter.
Should be a belter. Repeated the 2019 final, Oisin, and if that's something to go by, it should be a cracker. We'll be hearing from the interviews from the lads on Sunday. Dermot O'Callaghan spoke to during the week, mentioned about the spirit of the Glen, and that's what they're really going to have to show from their point of view. I suppose the night we saw them here against Douglas, they were quite disappointing on the night, but better performances since then. Really had to work hard against Newtown Shandrum to pull out that 1 point victory in that third round game. From an Imokilly point of view, I suppose they're going to be down a few players from 2 years ago from that final. They're going to be down one or two more come Sunday compared to the match against UCC. So it's going to be a big test for both sides, and both sides need to have a big performance for whoever wins to have a big say in this championship going forward.
Yeah, like some of the players that are going to be missing for Imokilly, I suppose, are going to be Bill Cooper is unlikely to play. Colum Spillane is unlikely to play.
And they're literally strong players, aren't they?
Well, they're inter-county players,
with their physical strength. That'll be that's a massive loss.
Absolutely. I mean, they're two quality players, and there's the whole pile of teams can play without two inter-county players. So there's alone Imokilly, who are made up of your junior and your lower intermediate teams.
Okay, quick word on Douglas against Blackrock. Colm O'Connor, Ger Cunningham and Shawnee McGrath on duty for this one.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people, this is an odd city clash, a lot of people will look at these two teams as whoever wins it will get to the final. That's what the expectation is. Douglas have the firepower. The Kingston and the Cadigans and the Turnbulls, they'll be looking at the three of those players in particular. We were here last year and Shane Kingston went to full forward for most of the second half, and if there was any criticism of him is that he got a huge amount of ball, but he never took on Gary Norbrook at the edge of the square, and he elected to come out rather than going in with the ball. So for me, and I mentioned earlier on at half time, Douglas haven't raised the goal, haven't raised the green flag in the championship this year. I think if they get a goal opportunity on Sunday and they get it, the result could go their way.
Okay, well, two very interesting games. Pa Mulcahy and Mark Landers, thank you very much. They must have known we were talking about Henry Shefflin at half-time because they played Monday's version of Galway Girl there on the PA. Midleton are going through to the semi-final. I got the feeling when I did the pre-match interview with Ger Fitzgerald, now it's not so much what he said, but it was just the kind of feeling I got out from him. He was wondering what's in this team. Can they step up? And they certainly did tonight. Yeah,
well, I think they were tested now. Yeah. They were really, really tested tonight against a really good Erins Own team who've had a fantastic season. And Erins Own threw everything at Midleton tonight. I thought late in the game when it was put up to Midleton, they stood up and were counted at all over the field, both in defence and in the forward line. And I think they'll be thrilled to get the victory tonight, because they probably would have shifted a fair bit of flack after the loss against Sars, because they just didn't play well, and they were, conceding 3-21 is a big score to concede. They'll be delighted to be back in the semi-final, and they'll be delighted to get a victory over their near neighbours in Erins zone and have the bragging rights for at least 12 months anyway, Oisin.
Monday, Sharon Shannon, now Nathan Carter. I'm convinced, Pa, you're in charge of this playlist, aren't you? Before we let you go, you want to say one thing about the semi-finals?
Yeah, so obviously, because Sars and Midleton have faced in the round 3 game, they now split. So we see Sars in the top half of the draw, Midleton in the bottom half of the draw, and of course we'll confirm the draw pairings on Sunday from 2 o'clock on the Examiner.
Okay, Pat Mulcahy and Mark Landers, thank you very much for joining us live here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh on a night where we kind of returned back to normal. And I'm not even talking about the jazz, that's great. I'm not even talking about the nightclubs, it's great that they're open. Those are industries that have suffered. I'm talking about the fact that there was no limitation on the crowd, the fact that the teams were in the dressing rooms, the fact that there was just a real buzz around the place, and people can go and have a night out after this, and it just feels like we're getting back to normal, and hopefully that's the way we'll keep going. 2 more games live on the Irish Examiner live stream over the weekend, both of them on Sunday, both in the Co-op Superstores Premier Senior Hurling Championship quarterfinals. Douglas against Blackrock and Glen Rovers against Imokeely. You'll be able to watch them and follow them through the Irish Examiner, and you'll be able to read all about it on the paper on Monday, and of course the Irish Examiner Sport website on Sunday as it happens, and immediately after, as you can do with this game, by the way. Full match report coming up very shortly, and you'll be able to watch it back. It's been a good start to the Jazz weekend, and 2 more games to come. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you very much for joining us in Páirc Uí Chaoimh this Friday night. I hope you enjoy your bank holiday weekend, and as I say, we are back live on Sunday. Until then, take care. Goodbye.